Art heals, and it's been a lifesaver for me and hundreds of people on my path. It's 1993, and I'm 13 years old, a recent immigrant from Moldova, a refugee from a conflict with Russia that is a precursor to atrocities in Ukraine. And it's the year when Rocky IV comes out. So all the kids in my New Jersey high school are running around and screaming things like, "Ya tebya," which means you're next, or you're on the kill list. And after school, they chase us to a Russian-speaking ghetto, throw stones at us, and continue with other things they learned. Your mother's a prostitute. Your dad's an alcoholic. And those are not fun transitional years to a new culture. Until one day, my mother, knowing my affinity for art, finds an art teacher, Andre. And twice a week, we get in the car, we roll up our windows super tight because we're scared, driving through unfamiliar neighborhoods of Newark, getting to a dilapidated factory building perched on top of a highway, entering through half-closed gates. But when I get into this space with its big windows and inspiring objects from all over the world, and it's like a sanctuary I've been searching for all these years. And I can spend hours dissolving into a landscape or a still life and exploring harmonies of colors and musicality of line. But at the same time, what I'm doing is also accessing my inner voice, my intuition. And that voice acts as a silent advisor that teaches me how to prioritize, what to pay attention to, and how to find my authentic path. And unlike so many kids in my neighborhood who turn to drugs and alcohol to battle bullying and culture shock, I have this creative outlet that heals me. Thank you, Mom. You're here somewhere. Thank you, Andre. This experience when I was 13 is so transformative that I spent years researching what visual art does to people, and even write a book about art-making effects on our psyche. See, many people don't recognize how potent art is in balancing us, in getting us in touch with our brains and our hearts, in sparking that innate creativity that resides within each of us. And yes, the art world might have you think that creativity is only available to a select few, but cavemen knew better. They were able to express their emotions, to comment on their everyday lives, and we have proof that lasted the test of time. So what now? Why turn to creativity now? Because we all need healing today. Kids, teens, young adults, parents, grandparents. We're all suffering from collective burnout, that state of extreme mental and physical exhaustion brought on by constant stress and anxiety. So now is a perfect time to turn to creativity, also because it's been statistically proven that it's at its highest after periods of intense trauma. Isaac Newton created his famous theories on gravity after the outbreaks of bubonic plague. William Shakespeare wrote King Lear among his other plays during the outbreaks of the plague. Now's the time to get creative. And today I want to share a few more personal stories about lessons learned from exposure to art, and I invite you to walk away with a concrete 5-minute exercise that will spark your creative flow. So get your pencils ready. I've worked with hundreds of people over the years, and I've realized that we all go through a similar process when we get into creative flow. And I dubbed it with an acronym, SPARK, that I'd love to walk you through today as an introduction to this exercise. So S in SPARK stands for staying present, truly being here today in this particular space, in your particular mood. Another 10 years go by, and I am now 23 years old, a recent college graduate, living the stigma of the starving artist. Except I'm not painting anymore. I'm in this dead-end job where my boss harasses me every day, saying things like, "I don't know how things are done in your country, but here in America, we do them this way." And continuing with, "No wonder you're going through a divorce right now, daydreaming and thinking art will save the world." And I am going through a divorce. So every morning on the way to work, I have this lump in my throat and a knot in my stomach, and at nights I can't sleep. And when I do fall asleep, I wake up with a panic attack. Until one night, or in the wee hours of the morning, I get my semi-dried oil paints out and some boards that I picked up off the street on trash day. And I just start using those boards as oil spills of emotion. I express my anger, my frustration, my grief over my breakup, my hopes, my aspirations, and it is such a cathartic process. It heals me once again and provides a way forward. So letter S in Spark is for staying present with the frailty of your emotions. Letter P in Spark is for paying attention to the four corners of your page, to the colors that reach deep within your soul, to the expressiveness of lines and shapes, to your authentic self. Another 10 years go by, and I'm now 33 years old, remarried with a 2-year-old, and my life is made. I am a VP of a national art gallery chain. We have locations in New York, in Boston, in Palm Beach, in DC. I have Kanye West on my speed dial, and girlfriends of Mick Jagger. And my super practical Russian parents are finally happy that I'm making money in the art world. Except life is not what it seems, especially after the crash of 2008. Because I'm leading a sales team, and at the beginning of each month, our numbers drop back down to 0. And once again, I am stressed out, burnt out, I can't sleep, and I have 2 miscarriages. And it doesn't hit me that something is wrong until a few years later, on my constant hamster wheel of to-do lists, I'm sitting in a sandbox next to my 4-year-old, who's now 13, and I'm on my BlackBerry. And that's when I decide that I need a break. And I win this sales competition that takes me to Venice, Italy, to the most prominent art fair in the world called the Venice Biennale. And after this, I have a few days to attend a painting retreat, because miraculously, my art teacher from back in high school, Andre, is in Italy. And those 3 days painting in the hills of Tuscany are a true awakening, breathing in that fresh, crisp fall air, listening to birds chirping, feeling the wind on my face and in my hair, smelling that musky smell of grapes mixed in with fallen leaves. It is so healing, especially after those miscarriages. And for 3 nights straight, I am crying. I'm crying because I realize there's been a huge part of me that's been laying dormant all these years. I'm crying because I know that I've been living behind a mask for so long. And I'm crying because I recognize there are thousands of people out there that are hiding their inner child behind closed gates, afraid to let her out, to explore and play amidst their practical lives. And I come back from this retreat and walk away from my fancy title and open an art school instead. See, I believe, as you've gathered, that art heals. And I decide that it'll be my mission in life to inspire people to see the joy in the everyday and to get in touch with that inner child inside of them. So letter P in Spark is for paying attention to your authentic self. Letter A in Spark is for allowing yourself to play. When I open my school and I start holding classes for kids and adults, companies like Google, Deloitte, Ropes and Gray, and many others start contracting me to hold these restorative, creative lunch hour workshops for their employees. And the very first thing that people say to me when they come in is, I don't know why I signed up for this. I don't have a creative bone in my body. And the very first thing that I say to them is, imagine that you're 4 years old again, and you just learned how to make basic shapes. And we start from there. And the most incredible thing happens about 20 minutes into those workshops. All of a sudden, these high-powered lawyers and salespeople and geeky engineers have color in their faces. They're a lot more animated and talkative with their peers. And they look like those little kids whose fingers are twitching in anticipation of a new technique they're going to learn. My research shows that exposure to art, even for 20 minutes a day, decreases our cortisol levels by incredible amounts. And that using different sides of our brain increases our brain's neuroplasticity, which is its recovery system. So that is what's happening to my participants as they're allowing themselves to play. Letter R in Spark is for releasing the end result. About 40 minutes into my workshops, it usually gets quiet. Everyone goes inward. And the testimonial that I get at the end, most of the time, is, I didn't even know that my coworkers were there. I was in complete flow. And similarly, I'm in my studio the other day, and this painting is taking me places. I feel this spiraling, ascending energy go through me, and I'm dancing to the rhythm of my palette knife and don't even realize that my finger's been bleeding for I don't know how long. And now this painting is signed in blood somewhere over there. I had to cover it up because it's a commission. Sorry. But that was flow. I didn't feel my weight. I didn't feel the time go by. I didn't feel pain. In Western society, we're so focused on results and goals that we forget to enjoy the process, to dissolve into the journey. So R in Spark is for releasing the end result. And finally, letter K in Spark is for being kind to yourselves, giving yourselves grace for being here, for willing to learn, and to get out of your comfort zone. And because I like to teach what I preach, I'm going to walk you through this exercise right now. And I know this is a TED Talk, and you came here to listen, but this is a TED Talk on creativity, so let's get creative. We're going to do some breathing exercises and some drawing exercises. So what I want you to do, I want you to close your eyes. Yes, close your eyes, those with phones. And then I want you to take 3 deep breaths with me. 1, 2, 3. And then I want you to become aware of each part of your body, starting from the top of your head, and release. Release the back of your head, release your jaw, release your shoulders. Open up your heart. Become aware of your elbows. Are they touching your waist? Are they touching your chair? Move your fingers a little bit, twitching in anticipation. Wiggle your sitting bones. Feel those on the chair. Feel your knees. Become aware of your feet and where your feet are touching the ground. And before we start, I want you to imagine that there's a cloud up above you, and up on that cloud is a future version of you, a version of you 6 months from now. And that version of you is serene and calm, balanced and happy. And that version of you has a message for you today. Let's give it a second to pass it on to you. And then we'll open our eyes and we'll start. So that was letter S, staying present. Now, paying attention to the 4 corners of your page, we're going to draw that cloud, but we're not going to put it right in the center, because when you put something right in the center, your eyes get stuck. So we're going to create some dynamism by drawing our first cloud in the upper right-hand corner. And you're 4 years old again, right? So it can be a circle, an oval, could be strips of clouds. You've probably seen hundreds of thousands of clouds in your life, so take your pick. So we'll draw the outline of that cloud. And then with our pencil, we're going to start shading it in one direction around the outline by pressing hard on our pencil. And just keep going around the outline. And then as we go inside that cloud, we're going to press a little lighter, and then a little harder again in the same direction to create some depth. And then a little lighter again. You can keep on going, or you can switch to another cloud in the lower left-hand corner. And that one is going to consist of 25 circles or ovals overlapping, just that fun, fluffy cloud, or as many circles as you can make. And our last cloud is going to be in the upper left-hand corner, and that one will consist of 25 dots, just dot, 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 dot. That foggy cloud. And see, this was just a couple of minutes, really, but look at what you've accomplished so far. And this doesn't just happen when you're in the process of making art. This happens when you allow yourself 20 minutes to go to a museum or art gallery or art fair hopping. And it also happens when you sit in front of your period painting at home and just allow yourself to dissolve into it. And I want to finish today with a quote that I got from a client in the midst of COVID. And she says, "Art can give strength. It heals. And this is proof." Thank you.